Happy coffee talk. Oh, guys, it's going to be one of those episodes where you hear background noise. I got up early to do coffee talk this morning at 6 because I wanted to record two episodes, one for today and one for next week. I don't normally record in advance, but I'll be on a trip next week, so I wanted to make sure there's still episodes to release. So I got up early only to find my toddler in my bed, who's not normally in my bed. And she's like patting my face and she's like, "Mommy, mommy, mommy." And I'm like, oh my God, I got to sneak out of bed because most of the time I record, it's before everybody wakes up because that's when it's quiet. That's that mom life, entrepreneur trying to, create, coach, do all the things. Sometimes you got to do it before everybody's awake. Anyways, now that I'm ready to record coffee talk, I snuck out. My dogs can't seem to want to not be with me right now. They are eating the loudest they've ever eaten. You're probably hearing it in the background right now. My big mastiff, his name's Rocky. He just came in and drank an actual bucket of water, the loudest drinking possible. And then my oldest kid yelled out the door for him. And I had to start over, which I don't normally start over, but it was a lot. So anywho, it's a fine start. I feel like you could take something like this and be like, oh, my day is going to stink, and apply it to your entire day, truly, because you could take a frame that, oh my God, I woke up, I was going to do X, Y, and Z, and everything just didn't work. Or it could just be, it's kind of the way it goes, which is the way I like to think of it, because I refuse to project a negative direction for my day when it's not necessary, because sometimes it just happens. It doesn't need any help from me. But a little dog eating sound in the background. Rosie, go eat somewhere else. Go. She's going to keep eating. So it just is what it is. Let me, so if you're new to Coffee Talk, I know we have a handful of new listeners. I just want to thank you for listening. First of all, it means a lot to me. Coffee Talk is a 5 to 10 to 15 minutes tops podcast that I release almost every day, where I give you some insight, perspective, what's in my head. It's almost like a verbal journal. So if I was to take the time in the morning and just write a journal, this is pretty much what I would write about. This is what's in my head. I love drinking coffee. So in every morning, drinking my coffee is kind of my time to think. And so sharing those thoughts and, kind of like my verbal journal entry with you, has been so much fun. So that's what Coffee Talk is. So I usually share what I'm drinking for my coffee. If my cup, I share my coffee cup, special or not special, it's special to me. And then I talk about what's in my head and what I've been thinking about, or maybe something that I learned from coaching yesterday inside fitme, or just some perspective for you. So thanks for listening. And I guess we can just get right to today's Coffee Talk message. I was chatting with a coach who's actually going to be coming on as a fitme coach. She's been an intern. And yesterday we were finishing her internship. To become a coach inside fitme, by the way, our coaches train for a minimum of 9 months. So that's almost unheard of, actually. And so not only do they have to have the right kind of character and the right, motivation and drive, but we also train them for 9 months. So they do a certification with me, a coaching cert, that lasts 12 weeks. Then we go through 4 or 5 weeks of fitme methodology. So we teach them how the fitme method works, how to apply it to help people create success, how the method behind the madness. And then on top of that, they complete an internship with our director of coaching. And on top of that, they do an interview with me at the end as sort of like a culmination of their internship. And so we take it very seriously, who our coaches are, and we want them to be really well trained. So anyways, this was the internship interview, like this culmination of all of it. And we were talking about strengths and weaknesses. And it was funny because I asked her, what are her greatest strengths and coaching strengths and weaknesses. Rocky, go. Told you. I told you guys these dogs were going to be doing all the things, but we're going to make it work. So I asked her what were her greatest coaching strengths and weaknesses. And she gave me hers. She felt like she is very direct, and she is good at delivering that kind of feedback. But on the other hand, sometimes it feels like maybe people don't quite understand where that feedback is coming from, or, that directness is perceived differently kind of thing. And so she was like, maybe that's my weakness too. And it's so funny because I said, well, you merged them, but that's very, very, very common to have your strength be right next door to your weakness. And so I have talked about this before on Coffee Talk, but it's an important theme to revisit because we tend to fixate just on our weaknesses. We tend to fixate on the things that we think are wrong with us. And especially if it's something that's reoccurring. So if you reoccurring have an issue and that you do it over and over again, maybe you would consider that a weakness. I mean, that's fair. The part that I want you to think about is maybe your strength, maybe your quote salvation from that is actually like right next door. One eyelash away is your strength. And when we start to think about it like that, we get something that's much more, powerful or productive to focus on. And we get to accept that these things are not, your strengths and weaknesses are not labels stamped on your butt at birth. They're not. They're just kind of a snapshot of where you are right now. And you absolutely can do all sorts of things to enhance your strengths and to address your weaknesses in a way that help you evolve as a person. So if you're struggling with this because maybe you have been fixated on the things that you would consider your weaknesses or things that are hard for you, I want to challenge you to look right next door and see if your strengths are there. Because if they are, and you can focus on that piece, well, then it makes working on, the things that you want to get better at are the things that you feel like are your weaknesses. It makes it a lot easier. So I want to give you a couple examples. So first off, sometimes we say that our weaknesses are that we have, we can't say no to certain kinds of food, right? We don't have like very good food boundaries. So when people are like, here, do you want this? And you're like, oh yes. Okay, I'll take it. Because you don't want to hurt their feelings. And so you always say yes, even when you don't want to. And then maybe you're a yes man in other ways too. Like you were supposed to go do a workout, but somebody asked for your help. Can you stay late at work? And so you're like, yes, I will. And you give up on your workout. And so you don't go. Or maybe you're in the car and you're coming home from the thing and you prepped a really good meal at home and the kids are in there and, your husband or whoever is like, hey, let's go go this other place. We really want to go. And you want to go home because you prepped a really good meal for everybody, but they want to go out. You don't want everybody to feel sad. You start thinking about how fun it will be and nice to sit out at a restaurant all together. So you're like, yes. So your weakness being that you have a hard time saying no, that you say yes when you don't want to, that you maybe stop following through on the things that you set out for yourself because you say yes too much. That's an example of a weakness that I think I know a handful of people that identify that is their thing, or at least something that they're working on. But right next door is that strength. You have a gift that you care about people, that you want them to feel good, that you don't want somebody to feel left out, that you don't want to miss out on special quality time, that you value other people's experience, you have empathy, you care. Those are strengths. Those are strengths. Those are things that are incredible about you. So if you can focus on those strengths, and even in those moments where you're like, oh man, here it is, that weakness. But again, instead of beating yourself up, you focus on the strength. You're like, well, I'm glad that I care. So then all that it becomes is using a different strategy. What are some examples of strategy? Have in this particular case, having a really good language around your boundaries. That's a strategy. So practicing things that you say so that when you get asked for something that you don't want to do and you want to stick to your boundaries, you can do it. And it still feels good because you're still being thoughtful and you're still caring about someone's needs and all the things that are about you, but you have a language that you practiced. Thank you so much for asking me. I really wish I could help then. I can't, but I can do this time with that work. It's just a simple way. Instead of changing your whole schedule around, you can just say, thank you so much for asking me. I can't do then, but I can do this time. Would that work? And proposing something different, right? So that's an example of like a language thing. Clearly, Christy Campbell has practiced because that's a strategy you can use. Having a quote weakness, again, not a label stamped on your butt at birth like a Cabbage Patch. It's just a thing. It's just a snapshot of where you are and a little bit about you and the circumstances that make things happen. So if you want to change it, and again, focusing not on the weakness, but focusing on the strength, you actually care about people. You want to help out. You don't want people to feel bad. All those things, those are great. Now we just need strategies for you to follow through on what you want. I mean, if you don't want anything, then by all means, like flow with the weakness. But it sounds to me, for most people, that they want something. They're trying to create change, but the weakness part makes that hard. Whether that is the example that I'm using right now, where it's, boundaries are hard, or saying no is hard. But there's other ones too. It could be that you oftentimes, prefer to relax. That's okay. But you're like, I'm not motivated. I'm just not motivated, I could go on and on and on about this, but here's the takeaways. Instead of fixating on your weakness, I want you to look at your strength, which is right next door. If you need help identifying it, message me. Tell me your weakness, and I bet you I will peel back the layers and tell you your strength. You can message me. I'm serious. We can chat briefly about this. Second is, and when I say chat briefly, I mean I will call you and we can talk for a minute, because I want to hear this weakness that's holding you back and give you an opportunity to peel back and see your strength. So message me. I'm serious. And so once you have looked next door for your strength and you see it, well, then the next piece is, if you're like, I don't like that I do this. I don't like that I do this thing. Insert weakness. Then you need strategies, because that weakness is not who you are. It's something you do. Or again, some kind of way you operate. It can be changed. So what are those strategies? And like I was giving you an example, one might be language for this food boundaries one. Another one might be a rule of thumb, like some sort of rule of thumb that you can use in those situations that you can establish with the people in your world and say, we made a deal. No eating out except for on Saturday, and that's your just general rule. And so then it becomes not a negotiation anymore. It becomes something that you all agreed on. So strategies are the productive way to address your weakness. And that's my coffee talk message for you to consider today. I want you to think about it and do something about it. Don't just think about it. Do something. If you have a weakness that's holding you back, identify a strategy that you can use so that it becomes less of an issue. So before we sign off for Coffee Talk, I want to tell you that on Monday, our 4-week On Track group starts. So this group is 4 weeks long. And at the end of 4 weeks, you will, one, learn that fitme method. Remember how I was talking about how you train our coaches on the fitme methodology? We show you how to do it. in this 4 weeks. So you'll be able to use it for the rest of your life. 2, because you're coached through the program, we give you daily targets, you get workouts, you get recipes, you get prompts, you get to start thinking differently about food and doing things differently, not just thinking, we're about doing. So we help you do it. And for 4 weeks, you're going to eat better. And then at the end of it, and you're going to move more. And we're going to help you. We'll give you the structure and the strategy. And at the end of 4 weeks, you will feel better. You'll shed bloat. You'll shed inflammation. You'll probably drop a few pounds. And you'll have created some new habits and routines that will stick, as opposed to doing something that you're not going to continue to do forever. This 4 weeks will change what you do forever, because you're not looking for the fast, quick fix. You're looking for forever. And so let's make some of those changes. So if you are interested in our On Track group, it starts on Monday. So it is $197 for the 4 weeks. And at the end of it, you are going to feel stronger, healthier, more confident, less bloated, less inflammation. You'll drop some weight, and you are going to have tools you're going to use for the rest of your life. So come on. Let's do this thing together. So I'll be coaching in the group. We have got 3 other fitme coaches that are in there. So then I actually get to know you and see you. That's another great reason to do it. So sign up at fitmeontrack.com. I'll put it in the show notes. I will drop it in the comments if you're in the Facebook group. So thanks as always for plugging into Coffee Talk. If you like Coffee Talk, please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. It means so much to me that you listen. It means a lot to me when you leave me a rating or review. Plus, it helps other people find it. So if you like Coffee Talk, subscribe and leave me a rating or review. If you are listening on the podcast and are not a part of our Facebook group, come on over to fitme free community and join the one place on Facebook where you can do diet-free, sustainable change that works in your real life. So that's what we do in there. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have an awesome day. Bye.